What's up, y'all? Thank you so much for clicking into this video. My name is Joy if you're new here, and if you're not, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming back again. Please, y'all, like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Y'all know how YouTube work. You see me on your feed or whatever, you watch my videos, you don't subscribe. Like, please. Okay, I'm trying to make this into a thing. Today we are going to be doing 26 books I want to get to in 2026. I did the same thing last year, 25 books in 2025. Don't ask me how I did. This list is just a guideline, okay, of books that I really want to get to. But I don't know, as my reading journey like continues to progress each year, I feel like I'm turning into more of a mood reader instead of like strictly this is my TBR. These are the books I want to stick to. So I really am not feeling that, but it is what it is. So as y'all know, I read across genres because what? A bop is a bop. So in this list, you'll find fantasy, romance, thrillers, nonfiction. Yes, a little nonfiction, y'all, a little nonfiction. And just a whole bunch of really good books that I'm looking forward to. So if that sounds interesting to you, then stay tuned. So y'all know it wouldn't be me without my handy dandy Kindle pad. She got a little makeover, I think, since the last time y'all saw her. So let me just show you what she's looking like. Dun, 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 dun. If you're interested in seeing how I set her up, then I have some videos on my Instagram and TikTok. But yeah, let's get into it. Okay, y'all. So some of these books are being released this year, and then some are just new to me books. But let's just jump right on in. The first book on the list is Sundown Girls by L.S. Stratton. I have read the majority of her catalog at this point and absolutely love L.S. Stratton. She's definitely an auto-buy author for me. Also, if y'all see me looking down, because I wrote a little description. I ain't a machine now. I ain't remember everything. But Sundown Girls is a YA thriller about a black teen whose family goes on vacation to a town that has a really dark history, and it has some open cases of missing black teens and the whole scenario and drama that comes with being in a racist town in the South. Really excited to dig into this. This is L.S. Stratton's first YA thriller. I'm really excited to see what she's done in this book. Next up, we have a book by, in my opinion, the queen of historical fiction, and that is The Keeper of Lost Children by Sadiqa Johnson. This book follows one American woman's vision in post-World War II Germany that will tie together three people in an unexpected way. So this is based on real people in real life. If you know anything about Sadiqa Johnson, she does a lot of research for her books, and she was inspired by, I want to say she was inspired by a trip to Europe. If you know anything about Sadiqa's work, it's always very layered with emotion, it's poignant, it's historically accurate, even though it's fiction, and she ties all of these elements perfectly together. I cannot wait to get to this book. Also, this is a new release for 2026. Next up, we have Year of the Mer by L.D. Lewis. You see how I had to enunciate that because it will get me tongue tied. Anyway, The Year of the Mer is a reimagining of The Little Mermaid. It's darker, grittier. It follows Ariel's granddaughter on her quest to regain her throne, and after it's been usurped by the people that she is set to govern, and she goes to her distant, what was Ursula? She goes to Ursula just like Ariel, thinking that Ursula is going to help solve her problems, but we all know Ursula cannot be trusted. So I'm really excited to dig into this book. I think I'm going to do a buddy read with one of my friends for this. So really excited to see this new take on The Little Mermaid. Next up, we have one of my most anticipated reads of the year. It's called A Dance of Burning Blades by M.H. Allende, and it's the second book in the Invoker trilogy. A Song of Legends Lost, which was the first book, absolutely blew me off my feet. Like, that book was incredible for a debut author, debut book. It was absolutely spectacular. Pre-colonial yet futuristic type of setting. And A Dance of Burning Blades picks up where A Song of Legends Lost left off. Child, say that 3 times fast. What? There's war happening in the Nine Lands, so we get to follow some characters that we know and love from the previous book. I'm so excited to read this, y'all. M.H. Allende has created such a rich and culturally beautiful world. The Invoker trilogy is based on Nigerian and Filipino culture, so I'm really loving this series. I definitely feel like you should check it out. A Song of Legends Lost is what I love about epic fantasy. It is multiple POVs, rich world building, high stakes conflict. So I'm really excited to get into the second book this year. The next book I'm really excited to get into this year is Sublimation by Isabel Kim. And in this book, when you immigrate, you leave a copy of yourself behind. One person enters their new country, the other one stays trapped at home. If that does not intrigue you, I don't know what to tell you. This book sounds so interesting, and I believe it was made into a movie or a TV show or something, but I don't know. I'm so excited to read this book and really get into my sci-fi dystopian bag. Then we have my GOAT, my guy. Steve Kavanaugh has a new book out and it's called Two Kinds of Stranger. If y'all know Steve Kavanaugh, he writes the most twisty, jaw-dropping books, and Two Kinds of Stranger is a part of his ongoing interconnected standalone series with Eddie Flynn. And so this book is a legal thriller about a social media influencer who is framed for the murder of her husband and his mistress, and a public betrayal and a seemingly act of kindness towards a stranger goes horribly wrong, forcing her to hire con man turned lawyer Eddie Flynn to prove her innocence against a cunning manipulator. I love this book because, first of all, it shows Eddie Flynn as someone who used to be bound by the law. Now he is working the law, okay?
And respect to the law. Okay. Respect for the law.
And these books are really fast paced and have compelling and interesting characters. They take place in New York for the most part, so that's also intriguing to me. So I cannot wait to get into this. And this also releases this year. So I'm just now realizing that I didn't even count down any of the books, but right now we're at number 7, and that is The Book of Fallen Leaves by A.S. Tamaki, and this comes out on March 17th, which is my birthday. That's the only reason why I remember the release date, because it's my birthday. But this is also a very highly anticipated read. It is described as Shogun meets Game of Thrones, and I think I mentioned this in some other videos, but last year I watched Game of Thrones for the first time and absolutely loved it. So anything that is comp to that, I'm definitely down to read. The Book of Fallen Leaves is an epic fantasy novel inspired by ancient samurai sagas, featuring exiled prince Sen Hashikari, I hope I said that right, and a peasant girl named Rui as they navigate civil war, political intrigue, and vengeful demons in this Japanese-inspired world. I'm absolutely so excited for this. I actually have the e-arc, so thank you to Orbit Books and A.S. Tamaki for the early copy. I will definitely be doing a review for this book if it hits for me, so stay tuned for that. Number 8, we have Cherry Baby by Rainbow Roll. The book follows Cherry, whose husband Tom has hit it off as a big-time filmmaker and moves from their home in Omaha to Hollywood to create this TV show based loosely on her, with a character named Baby who is overweight, unhappy, and every like negative connotation that you could put into that. And it really bothers Cherry. And so she is left behind in Omaha dealing with the fallout of this TV show, but she also finds a new potential romance with Russ, someone who knows her but is not familiar with her past. What really caught my eye on this book is the cover. It is so cute. Then as I read the description, I was like, okay, like this sounds like it could be something I would be interested in. So I'm really excited to check out Rainbow's writing, her style, and this book. This is also a new release again, and I think it comes out in April of this year. Child, I know this video has a lot of new releases, but I'm putting stuff onto y'all radar, I hope. But this is another anticipated new release for me. Number 9 is Aisha by Soraya Buzenzawi. I am butchering that last name and I deeply apologize. But the story follows Aisha, who is the daughter of a freedom fighter, and this is taking place in a Moroccan setting, as she battles occupiers and unleashes a hidden monstrous power within her, all while navigating a secret romance with resistant leader named Rakid, and their love story that ensues from that. And I'm so excited to read this. First of all, the cover is gorgeous. Again, another one that got me off the cover. But I also have been really interested in reading stories from other marginalized communities and people of color. So I'm really excited to get into this book. Y'all know I've been in my fantasy bag this is going on the second year, child. So I love me a good fantasy, and I'm really excited to dive into this one. Number 10 is another new release. I know, I know. I saw someone do a video on TikTok where they included this book in their anticipated reads for 2026, and it's called Fire, Sword, and Sea by Vanessa Riley. And the cover alone caught me again. I judge a book by its cover sometimes, and these new covers have been eating down this year, okay? But Fire, Sword, and Sea by Vanessa Riley is a historical fiction novel about the real life female pirate Jacquette Delahaye in the 17th century Caribbean seas. And I am so excited to read this book. I already have it like on pre-hold from the library because I have never read a story like this. So definitely didn't even know that there were black pirates. So I'm so excited to learn more about them and read this story by Vanessa Riley. Another new release that I'm super excited to get into, number 11 on the list. Number 11? Yeah, number 11 on the list is Black Owned, The Revolutionary Life of the Black Owned Bookstore by Shar Adams. And I'm super excited to read this book. Black Owned celebrates the living history of Black owned bookstores, packed with stories of activism, espionage, violence, community, and perseverance. Black Owned starts with the first Black owned bookstore, which an abolitionist opened in New York in 1834, and after the bookshop's violent demise, Black book lovers carried on this cause. I'm so excited to read this book. I definitely want to read more nonfiction, and I'm always going to start off with books that share about Black history because, as you can tell from the previous book, there's a lot of Black history that is just unknown to us. So I'm really excited to read and learn more about how Black-owned bookstores have really protected and advanced Black culture, Black history, and learn more about what it takes to actually own and operate a Black owned bookstore. Number 12 on the list is King Sorrow by Joe Hill. And apparently, this is his first book in 10 years. So, really excited to get into it. It is a chunky book, y'all. It's a chunky, chunky book. I actually have a copy of King Sorrow that was gifted to me by HarperCollins. So, thank you guys so much for the free copy. But King Sorrow follows a group of friends who summon a dragon assassin actually, to deal with their problems only to be bound to it for life, leading to a dark fairy tale of vengeance, guilt, and moral complexity. When I tell y'all, everybody has said that this book is good, that you don't even feel the length of it because you just get so immersed into the story. And it's not even just people who I normally see that I have similar reading tastes to, it's people across the spectrum that have said nothing but great things about this book. So I'm really excited to dive into it. And then who knows, maybe I'll end up reading Joe's whole backlog. Who knows? Number 13 on the list is Gods of the Weirwood by R.J. Barker. And this book is a dark epic fantasy about a farmer, warrior turned forester named Kahan who guides a priestess into the dangerous weirwood to find a missing child, forcing him to confront his past and the warring gods of his world. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this series online, but there is one particular book talker that I love her book recommendations, and she's been raving about it. So I'm like, let me add this to my list and see what the tea is. Now, funny enough, this is a trilogy. Books 2 and 3 are available at my library, but not book 1. So I had to get book 1 on Kindle Unlimited because it was like $3.99. And so I'm so excited to read this. It's described as like being really eclectic and a different approach to epic fantasy. So I'm definitely excited to dive in. Number 14, I am diving into the realm of the Elderlings this year. So the first book in that series is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Super excited to get into this series. I've heard nothing but good things. Assassin's Apprentice follows Fitzchivalry Farseer, what a name, an illegitimate prince raised in the royal court to become a royal assassin, navigating political intrigue, magic, and his own identity. Now, one thing that really intrigues me about this series is that I've heard a lot of people talk about the emotional impact of the characters and just how their attachment to the main character is like what really makes them love this series. So I cannot wait to get my feelings destroyed and really get into Robin Hobb catalog. Number 15 is Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio, the first book in the Sun Eater series. This is a space opera that blends epic fantasy with science fiction, and it follows the life of Hadrian Marlowe as he recounts his journey from a future torturer to the legendary figure known as the Sun Eater. Now, I've heard so many good things about this series, but how book one is a little bit slow, but after that it picks up. Now, I'm giving it 2 books, okay? Because it's a 7-book series, so I'll give it 2 books. I'm not pushing through like how I did with Red Rising. Although the most recent release of Red Rising, the last book that's out, I absolutely love. Like, it's up there with one of my favorite books of all time. Actually, I don't know about that, but it's up there with a book that I really enjoyed last year. I overall didn't enjoy most of the series. I only really enjoyed half of the series. I'm not doing that to myself this year. So, although I'm really excited to get into the series, let it be known that I will stop it if I'm not enjoying it. But let's see what happens. So, I think whoa. So I think I said this in another video, but 2026 is going to be the year of the book one. So with that being said, I'm reading a ton of entry books to series this year just to see if it's something that I'll be even interested in, because I have a bad habit of only reading one series at a time, and I feel like I'm missing out on things that I really want to get to because I'm trying to complete like longer series all the way through. So this year I'm gonna dip my foot into a whole bunch of little things and see what sticks. But anyway, number 16 we have The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington, and this is the first book in the Lycanius trilogy, and I heard that it's very different from the Hierarchy series. It's a very different book one than The Will of the Many, which is book one in the Hierarchy series. So really excited to see what James is cooking up. I'm kind of starting to learn what his writing style is, and I enjoy it. So I'm excited to see like his first book and see how he's grown from the Lycanius trilogy to the Hierarchy series. So The Shadow of What Was Lost is the first book in the Lycanius trilogy, like I mentioned. It's a high fantasy epic about a young man named Davian who discovers that he can wield a forbidden magic in a world where magical users were overthrown 20 years prior. Now, I will say, before I really started reading fantasy, I tried to read this book and I soft DNF'd it, but that was like over a year at this point. So now that I have like some fantasy under my belt, I'm really excited to get into this series. I actually, y'all can see it back there, I actually got it for Christmas this year, and it's a chunky book, so I wanted to have the physical copy so I can tab it up, make sure I remember things as I go through the series, and I will definitely give a review of the series if it ends up hitting for me. Number 17 is another book one entry, and that is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, the first book in the Dandelion Dynasty. And I know y'all are like, girl, wasn't you supposed to read some of these last year? But I told y'all I'm turning into a moon reader. So yeah, some stuff is rolling over to this year as well. But The Grace of King follows 2 friends who form an unlikely friendship, but then turn rivals as they quest to topple down a tyrannical regime and then become opposites as they try to figure out how to rebuild this new world. And I've heard that this series is really unique. It's a steampunk fantasy with Chinese dynasty inspiration. So I'm really excited to get into Ken Liu's writing. I actually read another book by his that I really did not enjoy, but I'm still going to give him another chance because I've heard great things about this series and I really, really want to just see what it's about. So definitely excited to dig into this series. It's a 4-book series, so that's like the perfect length for me, but they are chunky books. This is another one that I got for Christmas that I'm super excited to dive into, but I wanted the physical copy again so I can tab it up, and I will definitely give y'all a review of the series if it hits for me as well. Now this year I also said I wanted to start rereading some books, so number 18 is Real by Kennedy Ryan. I read this book a couple of years ago at this point. I want to say maybe in 2023 or 2022. Real is a contemporary romance about Broadway actress Neva State and film director Cannon Holt, who fall in love while they are creating this Harlem Renaissance movie about entertainer Desi Blue. And when I tell y'all, this book is so good. For a long time, it stood as my number one romance book, like my absolute favorite romance, and it's still up there. But August Lane by Regina Black, they neck and neck. But I'm super excited to reread this before the next book comes out, and we might as well roll right into it. Number 19, which is Score by Kennedy Ryan, is the second book in the Harlem Renaissance. I think it's going to be a trilogy. Harlem Renaissance trilogy by Kennedy Ryan. And so in this book, we follow Verity and Monk, who were college sweethearts who reunite after 10 years and their breakup was terrible. It's a second chance romance. I'm starting to realize that I kind of like second chance romances, but I'm so excited to be back into this world. And I actually really liked Verity and Monk in Real as side characters, so I'm excited for them to have their own spinoff too. Gore is also a new release that's coming out this year, I believe in May. So very excited to get into that. Also, the cover is gorgeous. And y'all know Kitty Ryan could do no wrong in my books. This is definitely an anticipated read for me. In the vein of rereads, we have The Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. I am deeply missing this series. Like, I have to reread these books at some point this year. The reason I love this series so much is that it was on the heels of me just finishing watching Game of Thrones for the first time. And so when I read it, watching Game of Thrones really helped me to envision some of the battle scenes in The Faithful and the Fallen. So that made it really enjoyable for me. The characters and the character development in these books are absolutely incredible. Like, the way John Gwynne does interpersonal relationships is so beautifully done. And like, I felt connected to these characters. I cried with them, I laughed with them, I spent 4 books with them, really chunky books like that. So I really want to reread these again just to be back in the Banished Lands with my guys, my guy Corbin and the gang. So yeah, this is definitely a reread for me, and I'm super excited about it. Number 21 is another new release. With Love from Harlem is a historical fiction about jazz prodigy Hazel Scott and her tumultuous affair turned marriage with Adam Clayton Powell Jr. in the backdrop of 1940s and 50s Harlem, exploring themes of ambition, sacrifice, love, and the fight for equality amidst fame and societal challenges, featuring real life figures like Billie Holiday and Langston Hughes. I absolutely love a Harlem Renaissance, Harlem themed, Harlem based, Harlem, historical fiction, because I feel like the Harlem Renaissance was such a short but rich time in Black history and the history of like where I'm from. So I'm always attracted to these stories. Really excited to learn more about the historical parts of these books. And one thing about historical fiction, when it's something that I'm interested in, I will definitely do my own research on the side. So I'm really excited to get into this new release from Rashonda Tate. Number 22 is The Art of Loving You by Natasha Bishop. And this is another new release. And this is a second chance romance about influencer Danny Jenkins and artist Micah Wright, who are forced together on a scavenger hunt left by a deceased mentor. And as they're on this scavenger hunt, they reignite their love, face past issues, and just explore what life could be like together. Super excited to read this. I really loved Only for the Week and how Natasha Bishop writes her MMCs. Yeah, because Rome, if you know, you know. Okay, need me a dude that's gonna rent out a yacht so I can read all day. Yeah, need that. But yeah, I'm super excited to get into this book as well. Now, number 23 has like a little asterisk next to it because the author hasn't really said much yet, but he shared some things on his Instagram story to confirm some of the rumblings. But this book is a new release, a new series by none other than John Gwynne, and it's called The Wolves of War. It's coming out at some point this year. It's inspired by his late daughter, Harriet, and so I'm really excited to dive into this new series. One thing about John Gwynne, I love the way he writes his female characters. They're always like full of spunk and ambition and sassiness, and they fit into their community so well, and they're so reliable and dependable. And he does write women very well in his stories. So I'm super excited to read this book. I actually saw on Goodreads that his son said that it is a combination of The Faithful and the Fallen and the Bloodsworn Saga, but with its own spin on it. So I'm really excited to read this book. I know it's going to be tender since it is dedicated and inspired by his late daughter. So really excited to dive into this new series by John Gwynne. Number 24 is The Black Count by Tom Rice. Tom Rice. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but this book chronicles the life of Elder Dumas, a man born to a slave mother in Haiti, who rose to become a top general in the French Revolutionary armies, and whose life served as an inspiration for his son's famous novels, including The Count of Monte Cristo and The Three Musketeers. Now, one of my friends on TikTok read The Black Count and then read The Count of Monte Cristo and said that we should definitely read The Black Count first just to have like that optimal rage for the Count of Monte Cristo, so I definitely am going to read this first and really just learn the historical context behind the classic. This might be the only classic that I read because the only one I have interest in. If I'm keeping it a buck, like I don't really care about the rest of them. So super excited to dive into this and have like that historical context behind the classic novel. And then so naturally, number 25 is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas, and this follows Edmond Dantes, a sailor who was forcibly imprisoned, escapes, finds treasure, and returns as a wealthy count to exact revenge on those who wronged him, exploring themes of justice, vengeance, and redemption. Now, there's been some conversation about this being a black classic versus not being a black classic, but as y'all heard the last one, the author's mother is Haitian. She's black. So I'm really not understanding he's half black. Also, the character's name is Dantes. Dantes, Dante. That's a black name. That's a black king right there. So I don't want to hear no rumblings about this not being a black classic. It's a black classic. It's very chunky as well, but I'm super excited to read this book. It is truly one of the classics that really has piqued my interest, and I've heard that it doesn't even read like a 1,000-page book, like that the story is so captivating and engrossing that you can definitely read it pretty quickly. So I'm super excited to read my first classic this year. And last but not least, number 26, a book that I'm for sure getting to this year, I don't care, even if it's just book one, is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin, the first book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. And when I tell y'all, I am obsessed with the show, and I'm glad that I watched the show first before I started reading the books because it's a big cast of characters in the books. Books are really chunky, so I definitely am glad that I have like some sort of like picture of like what the settings will look like, what the characters will look like. So really excited to dive into this series. I probably will join in the multitude of people that are begging George to finish this series, but I'm not going to be the one that's like, oh, he's never going to finish it. I have a theory on what he's doing. He probably going to wait until he's no longer here and then have it released. But either way, I'm excited to get to this series, whether it's finished or not. I definitely think that we should read series that are unfinished because if a book is good, a book is good. You feel me? So really excited to start my A Song of Ice and Fire journey. So yeah, y'all, we have a lot of books to get to this year, a lot of chunky ones, different genres, so many stories to be told. I'm so excited to dive into some of these books. But let me know in the comments if any of these books are on your TBR or what your priority reads are. Please, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe so that I can get my money up and move out the hood. Okay? And I will see y'all in the next one. Happy reading. Bye.